Okay, as promised, we're here with Mike Dugan from University of Wisconsin-Whitewater to demonstrate the Alessi model. Right now he's holding the Alessi model naked with no pillars. Not Mike naked, the horn naked. So, how did that feel?
Horn feels good. Best analogy that I use to describe the horn in comparison to other models is that this is much like driving a Ferrari in comparison to an old sports car. It goes fast when you want it to. But I wouldn't mind trying to dial it in a little bit to customize my needs and wants, sound-wise.
So where would you like to start?
Well, I think we could just start experimenting with the pillars, and I think I'll try this longer nickel pillar. I want to broaden the sound. Where should I put it?
If you want to broaden the sound, and not the feel, just the sound?
Just the sound.
I'm going to go to the hole closest to the bell, all the way out. I put the stop on, and away we go. Now, how did that feel?
Noticeable difference. It actually, with the feel of the horn, I felt like it actually dialed it in a little bit and made the partials just a little bit closer together, but gave me a little bit more breadth in the sound.
Now, there's always, when people talk about the partials, as you go across the partials, the distance to the partials is something that a lot of people don't think about. If they're really close together, it can be a very hyper-accurate horn, but can be a little confining or narrow in sound if they're too close together. If the partial is more defined. The wider the partial becomes, each partial, say a B-flat partial, and then you have an F partial, and it's this close together, the distance between them is less. So it might be a less defined slot, but the horn might be a little swimmy for them. So it's always a balance between having a defined partial that gives you the flexibility and doesn't lock you in too much. If the partial is very narrow, then the distance between the two partials, say the low B-flat partial and the F partial, if they're very narrow, then it can be confining within that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, okay, go on from there. What did this feel like? I'm sorry?
Well, I thought it took the sound and it gave it a little bit of breadth at the same time, bringing the partials a little bit closer together, but not too close, making the horn restrictive.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't mind trying to even just take the sound out just a little bit more, but leaving the feel right where it's at, if that's possible.
And so with wanting expansiveness, I'm going to be going towards the tuning side, which makes things broader. I'm going to go to a nickel, #1 pillar in the middle hole.
We're going to leave the other one in there.
We're going to leave the other one in there, all right? Close to him. So my initial response was that the horn started getting a little unstable for you.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was playing the notes, but the note was trying to swim on him a little bit. The partial, in my mind, was too loose.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm going to do is remove the third hole and just leave that in. something happening there that didn't feel quite as natural as the first one. Now for frame of reference, we're going to play this back with just the first nickel pillar in the third hole, just so we can hear it again. Now when we had done the second pillar in the middle hole, there was a lot of instability that came in. So now I'm going to go to a copper number 1 in the middle hole.
In hopes that this will add a little stability.
A little bit more, I'm actually going for a little bit more core, a little bit more thickness in the core right now. Well, it got thickness in the core, but we totally kind of dampened the response of it. Do you feel that?
Absolutely.
So I'm actually going to go to a number 3 copper in the middle. Notes are much cleaner than with the number 1 copper. I mean, do you feel that?
I did. It was easier to articulate, a little bit more clarity of attack.
Now, with these pillars, they're based upon octave lengths. If you look, they're essentially, one is twice as long as the other. And now, each of the short one, they're based upon octaves as well. The one with the most threads is right in the middle. Then we go 30%, and so there are actually, we went through and calculated where we wanted the overtones to be adjusted within these pillars. With the longer, the double octave pillar, we have a stop, which adds us micro adjustments. Now right now I have him set up essentially like a number 1 long, which just enough threads to go in and complete contact to the brace. So what I'm going to do now is micro adjust the long pillar. I went in 3 turns.
Stable, but it also maintained the clarity of attack and the integrity of the overall sound.
Throughout the years setting up instruments for people, I found that everybody really wants the same thing. They want what he just described. And by matching the T350s and B454s to the person, we find that balance. Now with this system, we can find that without having to adjust a thing in the instrument, without changing the lead pipe, without changing the bell.